Good morning. Thank you, Link. So I guess unlike many of you, I am a native Houstonian. And though I just started attending City Church about 6 months ago, I have relationships in this room that go back more than 20 years, and for that I am incredibly grateful. Before City Church, before November, I didn't have a church home. For about 5 years, the last 5 years, I have been experiencing profound doubts about our faith and the associated darkness and isolation that comes with those doubts. Among the many questions, how do we integrate our modern understanding of science with the Christian faith? And during that time, as I sort of slid further and further away from the church and from my brothers and sisters, I heard a message from a particular church community that said, it's okay, Michael, just keep asking those questions because those doubts are good and eventually the questions will lead you back to faith. And I couldn't accept that message. For one, it was way too tied up in a bow for someone that was experiencing the doubts that I was having. Two, the questions that I was raising, I was watching other people leave the church for those very same questions. But most of all, the hope in which that message relied was the very hope that I was questioning. And so over the course of those 5 years, my church attendance went from regular to irregular to not at all. Now, obviously, I'm here now, and I've been here for 6 months, so something has changed. I started being very open with some of my closest friends, and I started reading about other Christians and theologians who were experiencing the same questions I was. And I realized that until that point, I understood the Christian faith to be a set of doctrines about which we were certain. We must be certain. And so therefore, as I had more and more questions, I thought to myself, I can't actually be a Christian. My doubts certainly don't belong among the church, and perhaps neither do I. It was as simple as asking. I would watch many other fellow believers very fluidly talk about the questions they had about science and Christianity, but for me, the existence of those questions meant that I don't believe anymore. I also realized that the Bible doesn't model a faith that depends on being absolutely certain about every single doctrine. Obviously, there are core tenets, and I don't want to undermine the importance of that. But the Bible doesn't really provide that kind of certainty about some of the big questions that I was asking. And its diversity and its complexity, what it does model is that we are to trust in our Heavenly Father. Now, that was a very different message for me, right? Ask questions because you'll get to clarity and they'll lead you back to God. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to get answers to my doubts, at least anytime soon. None of them has gone away. I still live with them. But the fact that my doubts don't undermine my faith is enough to make me want to be here among, and I want to turn a phrase here, not among necessarily the body of believers, but among the people of God.